Good afternoon. My name is Donna Feazell, and I'm your host of The Edge on IC Radio, your source for news and entertainment. You can also find us on television, channel 182 on Charter Communications, and Abundance Television, found on Roku, Apple TV, and Amazon Fire, was indicated there. You can also find us on the podcast, netnewsnetwork.net. We're so proud to be in your home, or in your school, or in your business, or in your car. We're so proud to be with you today. I don't know how many of you guys are left-handed. I'm left-handed. And sometimes you feel like, if there was such a thing as discrimination, it's got to be against the left-handed folks. But we've learned to adjust to it, and we can live with it. But I'm going to give you some surprising answers, and it's just some surprising info about lefties, about us lefties and what we are like. So I've got this one right here for you. There we are. We're all left-handed. Right-handed people dominate the world, and it's been that way since the Stone Age. How do we know? Researchers figured it out by measuring the arm bones in ancient skeletons. I always wondered how you knew that. And by examining the wear patterns in prehistoric tools. So in Western countries, lefties make up only about 10% of the population. Now, folks who favor different hands for different tasks, or maybe mixed-handed, or those who use both hands with equal skills, are uncommon. I had to learn how to, because used to do everything was left-handed, everything, the baseball bat, the whole works. Eating, whatever. So I did learn through trial and error, and through my parents taking the pen and crayon out of my hand, putting it in my right hand. I'm still left-handed when it comes to writing, but I'm left-handed, or left-handed on that, but then I'm right-handed on a lot of other things. So anyway, so let's find out a few more things, such as the generic roots. Scientists have long known that handedness is partly shaped by genes, but it wasn't until around 2019 they identified the differences in parts of the DNA of left and right-handers. Now, the study, which also analyzed brain scans of 9,000 Jewish and British subjects, found that lefties, the part of the right and the left side of the brain that processes language, work on a better tandem. So whether that makes left-handers more fluent speakers is still to be investigated. I don't know about that one. Maybe I skipped that one. Who knows? But anyway, so many interesting facts about people who are left-handed. So this is what I heard back in the olden days. I'm talking about in the early centuries. They thought people who were left-handed were demon-possessed, so they'd kill them. So kind of glad I'm not living in that era. But although I have some family members who'd love to make that the excuse. So let's go on. Let's look at number 3. Okay, handedness in the womb. So let's look at this. So fetuses start to move their arms around 9 to 10 weeks. So early in the second trimester, the babies show a clear preference for sucking one thumb over the other. So handedness is probably hardwired before birth. Still, most development experts say parents likely won't get a good sense of the child's dominant hand until about 2 or 3. Many kids continue to switch hands for different hands during childbirth and during childhood. So that is pretty cool that we go over that. Let's talk about number 4. And this is about the mixed dominant hands. And that's kind of me, but for the most part, I am left-handed. So studies show that non-right-handed students are more likely to struggle in school and have ADHD symptoms. That's me, okay? And sometimes my letters, like D and B, even now, even into my 60s, I have to kind of think about it just for a second. Wait a minute, that's B, that's D. So it just kind of, and then numbers sometimes appear to be like this way, like it may be a 67 this way, but I'm reading it as 76. I have to look at it, another way to get the correct. No, that's why sometimes you see me hesitate when I'm reading things. I'm trying to make sure I got it on. You know what I mean? So mixed dominant hands. Studies show that non-right-handed students are much more likely to struggle in school and have ADHD symptoms. That may be particularly true for those who are mixed-handed, but one study found that children who switched hands back and forth are about twice as likely to have dyslexia. That's me. Researchers don't know exactly why but they suspect that having an inconsistent dominant hand may be the bigger problem than consistent left-handedness. On my research in this, what I have seen is that mainly people who are like me, who can see numbers different ways, I think it's probably because when we were really young, your parents wanted you to be right-handed for some reason. It was considered weird to have left-handed kids. And so, but I do remember a lot of times my parents taking the crayon out of my left hand and just putting it into my right hand to try to get me to do, the right-handed thing. It didn't work, sorry. But anyway, they tried. Okay, number 5, superior lefties. What do you mean by that? Okay, so your brain's right side controls muscles on the left side of your body and largely drives musical and spatial abilities. That may be why left-handers often hold more than their share of slot in creative professions. So mirror writing, where letters are reversed and written backward, is almost always done with the left hand. So some studies show that left-handed children score higher on verbal reasoning or are more likely to be in gifted programs. But other research differs. It all depends on the kid, and it all depends on probably how you were raised and how your parents handled the whole thing. I do love music, so I play the piano by ear. I just kind of picked it up and ran with it. The problem is, if I have to memorize something, I know the first talk show, Tom Williams was my boss, and he owned the TV station I was at. And so I said, well, first of all, he had to talk me into it. And I said, I don't think I could do this. I said, I'll forget my name. I won't be able to do this. I can't do it. He said, no, you'll be fine. Once you get into the run of things, I think you'll be cool. I said, oh, well, okay. I'm willing to try it if you are. I said, but now if I mess up, you got to tell me, okay? He said, I will. So what we did the first time, we taped shows. And I was kind of going through this thing of memorizing everything. I wasn't shooting off the hip. And he said, you know what, I'm going to stop this right now. He said, you're not going to be the type person who goes by script. He said, you're going to have to shoot off and you can do it. He said, you can shoot off your side of the hip. And I said, well, I'm left-handed. He said, I knew you were. Somehow I knew you were left-handed. He said, no scripts. Just shoot off the hip. And it ran much smoother that way. So if I've got to memorize anything, can't do it. But shooting off the hip, I can really figure it out. So, well, in some cases. Let's talk about handedness with age. Look at that dude right there. He's somewhere probably around my age. In an interesting experiment with right-handed seniors, researchers found that the subjects relied less and less on their dominant hand the older they got. So as their right hands grew slower and unsteady, the elderly people handled some of the tasks just as well with their left hands, but they still all saw themselves as strong righties. And that's probably because of the way we grew up. I mean, we just thought that that's just kind of how we rolled with things at that point. So, and I totally get that. Now, I would have loved left-handed scissors because it's always been a struggle for me to use scissors. So Phil says, we get married, and he said, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to buy you a pair of left-handed scissors. So he buys me a pair of left-handed scissors, and I couldn't use them because of all of the years of struggling. My mind finally got together with the right-handed scissors. So who knows? Who would have thunk it? So here we go. This one right here. Lefties appear to have an edge in sports. Boy, don't we know that with some of these really neat football players and baseball players and basketball? I mean, some of these people, and almost every single one of them are left-handed. Like boxing or fencing, where they might surprise opponents to used to facing off against mostly right-handers. So you can kind of trick people that way. In some years, nearly half the Major League Baseball the all-star roster has been southpaws or switch hitters. But that may be due to less athletic talent than to practical advantages, like the fact that the left-hand hitters stand closer to first base. It could be. I want to tell you how I grew up in a neighborhood full of boys. And so, of course, I was one of the guys, and we'd hang out and we'd play baseball and football and stuff like that. So I was left-handed. So what I would do, those guys never paid attention that I was left-handed. They just never thought about it. So what I would do is I'd get the bat, and I would actually put it on the right side, and I would do this, and they'd go, okay, she's probably just going to tap it because she's a girl. So what I would do is I'd really quickly turn it over to the other side. Man, I'd just slam that thing out of make home runs and all this kind of stuff. Those guys never, I hope they're not watching right now. They're going to wonder what, they're going to say, oh, so that's how you did it, right? Okay, oh, we're about ready to go into a commercial break. But anyway, this is talking about the left-handers probably just stand closer to first base could be the reason for that. But who knows? I'll just tell you a lot of fantastic athletes. Anybody, like most authors of books, because of the way they think. And I forgot how many presidents in the United States have been left-handers. So I mean, if you're in the left-handed group, don't feel so bad about it. I wish I'd known all this stuff when I was younger. So anyway, let's go into a commercial break, and we shall return in just a minute, so hang in there. The Hatter Cafe and Country Inn is nestled in the northeast corner of Alabama the Beautiful in the delightful town of Mentone. We're located on top of scenic Lookout Mountain near Little River and DeSoto State Park, and located only 5 minutes from shopping and restaurants. There is also a nearby community walking path and golf course. We welcome everyone through the doors, and we are committed to outstanding service for all guests. At the Hatter Cafe and Country Inn, we invite people from all walks of life to come and get away from it all, enjoy the open spaces, treetop views, fresh, clean air, and experience Southern hospitality at its finest. We look forward to hosting you. To reserve a special event, or if you would love a special getaway at the Country Inn, you can call us at 256-634-2018. The only place I buy my beef is Lone Tree Ranch in Collinsville, Alabama. Their cattle is born and raised on their ranch, grass and grain fed, and you can feel confident when you serve your family and friends because their beef is all natural and no antibiotics or hormones are added. You can buy whole beef or perhaps go in with family or friends and buy half. Their customer service is number one as they take care of the delivery to their local processor and can deliver to your home for a small added fee. They also offer herd replacement heifers. I always call Lone Tree Ranch in Collinsville, Alabama for my beef specialty recipes and cookouts, and you can too. Food shortages are increasing, so buy local by calling 256-523-6462. That's 256-523-6462.
Are you ready?
We all wonder what tomorrow will bring, but the future lays itself at the feet of the prepared and surrenders to the will of the persistent. It's not easy, but today shapes you so you can shape tomorrow. With Northeast Alabama Community College, when the future asks if you're ready, you can answer
yes.
Begin your future at Northeast Alabama Community College.
Looks like you've been sleeping well.
Megan, he's back! The MyPillow guy!
And you're looking good.
Still feeling good.
Well, just when you thought it couldn't get any better, we've got the best pillow ever, MyPillow 2.0.
The best sleep just got even better. Whether you have a MyPillow or not, you need to get the brand new MyPillow 2.0. Call or go to MyPillow.com now. Use your promo code, and for a limited time when you buy one, you'll get a second one absolutely free.
Jeff McCurdy of the McCurdy Law Firm has been a public service of this area for over 10 years. McCurdy, a member of the Henniger City Council, serves as prosecutor for the town of Sylvania and was named public defender for the city of Rainsville. The McCurdy Law Firm is located at 17326 Alabama Highway 75 in Henniger to better represent his Jackson and DeKalb County clients. If you need to be represented by a true public servant with proven success, call Jeff at 256-996-8701 or send a private email to mccurdylawfirm@gmail.com. No representation is made that the legal services performed is greater than the legal services performed by other lawyers. Lamone's Mexican Restaurant, located in Henniger, Alabama, and voted Best Mexican Restaurant of DeKalb County, Alabama 2020. We're here to serve you with authentic Mexican cuisine. Order easily online by going to lamonsmex.com or call 256-657-3999 to place your order. We're open Sunday through Thursday 11 a.m. to 9 p.m. and Friday and Saturday 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. Whether you're celebrating a cozy date night for two or a celebration for a crowd, at Lamone's you'll love our atmosphere and friendly servers. Thank you for dining with Lamone's Mexican Restaurant. Okay, we are back. My name is Donna, and I am your host of The Edge on IC Radio, your source for news and entertainment. You can also find us on television, channel 182 on Charter Communications and Abundance Television, which is found on Roku, Apple TV, and Amazon Fire. And please don't forget the podcast, netnewsnetwork.net. And all social media sites, by the way. You can find us on Facebook and all of the sites. We're on Twitter, the whole works. All of the traditional sites, as well as, the, how shall I say this, independent sites. We're on all of those as well. But again, thank you so much for watching. We definitely appreciate it. Now, you could be doing anything else, but you're watching me right now, and I definitely appreciate that. We're talking to my friends who are Southpaws. I'm a Southpaw. So let's talk about that. What in the world about Southpaws? What makes us unique? What makes us different? Well, I'll have to tell you this. So growing up, we lived in a house. We first moved out to the country when I was about 14 years old. Grew up in a subdivision with all those guys. And so Dad moves us to close to Geraldine, Alabama. It's a farm. I think it's 40-something acres in this house. And I'll have to tell you, the house was made for me for a change. Everything was for a left-handed person. All the light switches, everything. So I would tell everybody in the family, I'd say, now you know what, I've been struggling through my entire life. So it was easy for me. It was just all the light switches. Everything was made for a left-handed person. So whoever that person was who built my house, thank you. I never did thank you for that. Thank you so much. Okay, so let's go ahead and talk about this. Okay, so we're talking about the really great things about being left-handed, but there are also some, backlashes there. Could be brain disorders. There's well-established link between left-handedness and mental conditions like schizophrenia, which can cause hallucinations and impaired thinking. So a large recent study in the UK found a strong link between regions of the brain involved in handedness and how you likely are to have mood swings, restlessness, personality types marked by anxiety and fear that sometimes can veer into a mental disorder, and that can happen. So if you're seeing, now I'm not saying like my husband needs to stare at every single move I make, but I'm just saying if you have a loved one who is left-handed, you might want to kind of watch them just a little bit. But I got to tell you this, I know a lot of people who are right-handed I'm scared to death of. I'm related to a couple of them. So anyway, okay, humans versus apes. So let's look at that one. Don't you just love animals? I always wanted a monkey. I don't know what my deal was. They said my grandmother always wanted a monkey. But we're not only the only animals with handedness traits. So researchers have been watching wild chimps found that they favor their left hands twice as often when they're fishing for termites. That's interesting. And the same was largely true for chimpanzees raised in captivity, but results were different for nut cracking. Okay, now for that task, which requires sheer force instead of the fine motor skills needed for extracting insects, wild chimps were more likely to favor their right hand. Isn't that interesting? Okay, so, that does kind of make a little bit of sense. So in the kitchen, I have noticed that. So when I'm cooking a steak and I want to pound the steak, I do pick up my right hand for that, and I pound the steak like that. Or when I'm chopping up lettuce for a salad, I seem to favor the right hand over that. So I've got my little cutting board right here, and I have, say, my lettuce or whatever, and I've got that laying on here, I am using my right hand. Maybe that's the stronger hand in my mind knows that. Who knows? But anyway, in some things I do favor my right hand. Okay, so we talked about humans versus apes. Let's talk for a few minutes about forced right-handedness, okay? So where is it? Okay, I guess I don't have that one. All right, let's go ahead and go back. So let's talk. Oh, well, let's see right here. It says I don't have it. Okay, so cultural biases actually talk about, the people who used both, and cultural biases against left-handers has existed throughout history. This is what I talked about the first part of the show. So in the Middle Ages, the devil was considered to be a lefty. Now in Japan, China, and other Asian countries, the percentage of left-handers is much smaller than in the West. American teachers and doctors in the early 1900s believed that left-handers were more prone to mental disorders and pressured students to switch hands. That can cause for a little bit of confusion right there. Okay, did you know that there are some famous lefties? Most movie stars, most people who are in the entertainment industry are left-handed. So 4 of the 6 most recent U.S. presidents were lefties. That included one of my favorites, Ronald Reagan, George W. Bush, George H.W. Bush, Bill Clinton, Barack Obama. Celebrity southpaws include Oprah Winfrey, Bill Gates, Tom Cruise, Paul McCartney, Prince Charles, and his son Prince William. I didn't know that they were lefties. Boy, this big deal going on about the royal family, right? Okay, now number 12, and this is about tools. Let's see if I've got that here. Nope, I don't. I don't think I do. Okay, that's fine. Okay, so tools for lefties. If you're a righty and ever used your left hand to cut with scissors, I mentioned that earlier, that is just plain awkward. I mean, that's a hard thing to do. So lefties can find a growing number of products for the kitchen. Now you can. You couldn't when I was growing up. At the kitchen, the office, and elsewhere that are designed with them in mind. So you can buy knives with a sharpened edge on the right side of the blade. Okay, that explains probably why I pick up a knife, and when I'm cutting up something for the salad, I'm doing it with the right hand. Okay, that's probably because, well, it was easier to do. You could actually cut better with the right hand. And or a measuring cup with the unit labels that face you and hold it on your left hand. That's always been really awkward. So I'm measuring stuff, and then I have to turn it around to see. Yeah, that is kind of awkward right there. So that is absolutely true. So let's talk about this. And this is so funny. We're going to get off because we just got a few minutes left on the show. But I want to talk to you about weird body quirks. And this was from brain freeze to hiccuping. And I was interested in this because I saw a video one time of a cat. And there's several of them out there right now. You can go to YouTube or anywhere and just type in cat with brain freeze. So you can actually feed a cat some ice cream, and it causes them just to kind of have this little brain freeze. I actually think it's a cruel thing to do. I would never do that to my cat. But it is kind of funny to watch on YouTube. No, not that again. Not another frozen treat. Another brain freeze. Ice cream headaches happen when something cold touches the nerves of the roof of your mouth. So that's what it does, is getting it touching the nerves of the roof of your mouth, triggering blood vessels in front of your head to swell. This rapid swelling causes the familiar jabbing pain of brain freeze. An easy solution: try eating ice cream or other cold foods more slowly to avoid getting a headache. But here's the problem. It's hot outside and I say some ice cream, I'm cramming it down my throat. Okay, what causes and what can you do about excessive sweating? Yeah, it's like a mood killer, but this problem is very common and happens to completely healthy people. While it can occur on the face, sweating is usually worse on the palms, the soles, and on the armpits. Now, treatment may include aluminum chloride antiperspirants. Be really careful about that. Botox injections, oral medications, mild electric currents, or even surgery. I'm okay with just keeping it like it is. Okay, vertigo. Whoa, it feels like the room's moving when it's not. It feels like you're in an earthquake, but it's not. It's vertigo. Sometimes caused by inner ear problems or nerve damage. Vertigo can last minutes to hours. Phil had this about 2 years ago. To distinguish vertigo from dizziness, there must be a feeling of motion. Other symptoms may include hearing loss, ear discomfort, and unusual eye movements. Treating vertigo depends on the cause, so go to your doctor for a complete evaluation. Now, your arm or your leg goes to sleep. How many times has that happened? I'll have to tell you, it's happened in church before. Okay, and then they say, stand up for the altar call, and I'm like, whoa. And people are going to think something's wrong with me for sure. So if you ever get that dull feeling in your arm or your leg, like it's asleep, okay, this temporary and harmless sensation is caused by constant pressure on nerves, probably just sitting there with your legs crossed or something, leaving them unable to transmit messages to the brain. The cure is simple: change positions. As feeling starts to come back to that area, you may experience a little bit of tingling. It feels like pins and needles for a little while. So that chronic tingling indicates a more if it just keeps on and on and on, could indicate a more serious underlying condition that should be evaluated. How do you get rid of hiccups? Okay, hiccups are an uncontrollable contraction of the diaphragm. Okay, so the breathing muscle under the lungs, eating too much too fast, overdoing alcohol, or swallowing air can all cause hiccups. They usually go away on their own, but you can try remedies like holding your breath, quickly drinking water, and breathing in a bag to help hasten the hiccups away. I always heard that that's because you were actually growing older. Tonsil stones. Tonsil stones? Never heard of that. Although those bad-smelling lumps can be uncomfortable, tonsil stones, also called tonsillits, are generally harmless, hanging out in the tonsil pockets. They form when bacteria and debris gets trapped. And this is forming a hard piece of matter and a bad taste in your throat. And you can remove these small stones with a swab if they're not bothering you, but no treatment is necessary. They'll just eventually go away. Ear popping. Yeah, we've all yawned on a plane trip to pop our ears, but what we're doing is equalizing the pressure between our inside and outside of our eardrum as the altitude changes. That pop means a tube connecting your middle ear to the back of your throat has opened, relieving pressure. To help you also close your mouth, hold your nose and blow gently, or try chewing gum or yawning. Have you ever had a Charlie horse? I'll hurry with this one because I've had these. This startling muscle spasm can last a few seconds to even a few minutes. Dehydration, muscle overuse, nerve irritation, and low levels of certain minerals like potassium and calcium could be the culprit. Walk around to relieve the pain or shake your leg and stretch your muscle. Now, if the cramps persist, call your doctor. But I'll have to tell you this, mustard does wonders. Yeah, mustard. I happen to love the taste of mustard. So when I start getting those, Phil gets those, we'll just get out a tablespoon, get the mustard out, shake it up real good, and go ahead and take the mustard and drink it down with a little bit of water, and it goes away. Who would have thunk it? But anyway, it does happen. Thank you so much for watching The Edge on IC Radio. My name is Donna. I am your talk show host, and it's always good to be with you. You can find us on television, channel 182 on Charter Communications, Abundant Television, syndicated, found on Roku, Apple TV, and Amazon Fire. And please don't forget the podcast, netnewsnetwork.net. You take care.